Welcome to our Boost Bridge session by Achievemore. Today we'll discuss funding as a service and how revenue-based financing fits so perfectly with a service's cash flow.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. How does revenue-based financing truly align with monthly recurring revenue models?
So, think of it this way. Imagine your startup's revenue as a steady, reliable stream, like a river flowing every month. With revenue-based financing, you're getting non-dilutive capital that grows alongside that flow.
Yeah,
Right? And it's designed to fit your recurrences without giving away equity.
true. And that definitely stands in contrast to traditional equity rounds where you're basically trading a piece of your company.
Exactly. And that's a crucial point. Equity rounds can be quite risky. They pull you into injecting equity even when you're still finding your footing. Whereas revenue-based financing, it's a lot less invasive for early-stage startups.
Right, it's non-dilutive. But I was wondering, what about banks and their loans? They require collateral and sometimes force an equity injection indirectly.
True, banks typically demand stringent conditions, and often the cash flow from monthly recurring revenues isn't enough to secure those loans without some equity stakes. With revenue-based models, you're essentially borrowing against your future revenue without that
Yeah.
downside.
So it minimizes the risk for founders and preserves more control over their vision.
Absolutely. And it's like a tailored fit. It's like designing a suit that matches your cash flow patterns. This approach can be such a game changer for service-based startups, especially when traditional financing might not even be an option.
Very innovative. But let me ask, what do you think about the supportive measures like grant programs and microloans that are also mentioned?
Well, those are super crucial, right? Grants and microloans act as additional boosters, especially in the early growth phases. They provide that extra push to help service-based founders scale without major financial pressures.
Exactly. I see. So while revenue-based financing covers recurring financial needs, grants and microloans fill in the gaps during those nascent stages.
Exactly. And this combo is what makes funding as a service so attractive. It streamlines and optimizes cash flow while reducing the risks associated with equity dilution and rigid bank loans.
And isn't it interesting how this approach is essentially built into Boost Bridge's ethos? I mean, it's more than a platform. It's a vibrant community that supports professional growth for founders.
Yeah. So Boost Bridge isn't just about training in tools or leadership. It's really designed to connect people, foster growth collaborations, and provide a framework for upskilling together.
Totally. It kind of empowers founders, like giving them both the capital and the skills required to succeed while navigating the challenges of early stage growth.
Exactly, which is really powerful. It's like having a personal mentor plus a financial advisor all rolled into one, guiding you to make the best decisions.
However, I do wonder, don't you think that while revenue-based financing is great, sometimes it might not cover all the capital needs, especially in high-growth contexts?
That's a fair point. I mean, in scenarios where rapid scaling is essential, even a revenue-based model might feel a bit restrictive if your revenue isn't scaling at the same pace. But that's where the combination with grants or even selective bank loans could come in handy.
Yeah. So you're saying it's not a one-size-fits-all, but rather a toolkit of funding options, right?
Precisely. Each method, whether revenue-based, grants, or microloans, has its place. They can be mixed and matched depending on startup needs, providing a diversified approach to funding.
It's like having multiple levers to pull to keep your business afloat and growing.
Right? And that's one of the reasons why Boost Bridge, with its dynamic community, is so compelling. It not only trains you, but also connects you to funding opportunities and strategic insights that can really make a difference.
Absolutely. And honestly, that community element seems invaluable, especially in a challenging environment where every bit of support counts.
Yeah, it's like the whole ecosystem is designed to nurture growth. It's not just about money, it's about professional development, leadership skills, and creating a network.
Speaking of networks, the platform really emphasizes connecting peers, experts, and even mentors, which in turn feeds into the funding narrative.
Exactly. It reminds me of an old saying: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Boost. Bridge makes sure you're never on that journey alone.
Right. It truly makes a difference. But coming back to funding, do you think there's any challenge in aligning the non-dilutive capital with an ever-changing revenue model?
That's a valid concern. While the idea is to seamlessly match the cash flow, in practice, you might run into challenges if the revenue fluctuates significantly. However, the ideal use case is for startups with more predictable, recurring revenue streams.
Yeah, exactly. And in cases where revenue does fluctuate, there could be additional mechanisms in place, maybe contingency plans like reserve funds or scaling microloans.
Exactly, like a financial safety net. And it's important to remember that these models are still evolving. The more data and success stories we gather, the better they'll refine the balance between growth and stability.
Speaking of evolution, the push towards this funding as a service model is quite forward-thinking, especially considering the limitations of traditional banks and rigid equity funding structures.
Yes, absolutely. It's like rethinking the fundamental architecture of startup financing, aligning funding with the true operational dynamics of a service business.
That's right. And it really presents unique opportunities for startups who might have previously been overlooked by conventional financiers due to their nonlinear growth.
Exactly. Plus, by reducing the dependency on equity rounds, founders can maintain more control over their companies, which often leads to more authentic growth and innovation.
That's a compelling argument. Retaining control and fostering innovation, it's a win-win.
For sure. And don't forget, Boost, Bridge also calls on public support and funding to further research and development. This means being part of an even larger ecosystem that is continuously evolving to meet these challenges.
Right. It seems like the entire model is built on the idea of an interconnected community supporting not just individual growth, but the broader ecosystem.
Yes, exactly. And that brings us full circle, combining non-dilutive revenue-based financing, supportive funding options like grants and microloans, and a dynamic community through Boost, Bridge. It's a holistic solution designed for today's fast-paced, ever-changing market.
Well, it's exciting to see such innovative approaches being embraced. It not only empowers founders, but also redefines how we think about startup financing and professional growth.